I need to tell you something that still haunts me. Something that happened to me that I can't explain, and honestly, I'm not sure I want it anymore. Because some mysteries aren't meant to be solved. Some mysteries are meant to swallow you whole and spit you out different. Changed. Reborn, maybe. Or maybe just awake for the first time in your miserable, sleepwalking life. It started with a car. A stupid, ordinary, used car that I bought off some stranger on the internet because my old one finally gave up on me, just like everything else in my life seemed to be doing. 29 years old, and I couldn't even keep a Honda Civic alive. That's where I was. That's who I was. A woman whose car died before she did, and honestly, some days I wasn't sure which one of us got the better deal. I remember sitting in that dealership parking lot, signing papers I barely read, handing over money I barely had, and feeling absolutely nothing. Just this hollow, echoing nothing where my heart was supposed to be. The salesman kept talking, kept smiling with those bleached teeth, and I kept nodding, kept pretending I was a real person making real decisions. But I wasn't. I was a ghost. A shell. A shadow of something that might have been alive once, before the world ground it down into dust. The car was fine. Silver. For doors. Cloth seats that smelled like someone else's life. Air conditioning that worked. A few scratches on the bumper. The kind of car you see 1,000 times a day and never remember. The kind of car for someone invisible. Perfect for me. I drove it home to my apartment. That word is too generous, really. It was more like a cell with a window, and I felt that familiar weight settle over me. You know that feeling? When you realize nothing has changed. When you realize that no matter what you do, no matter what you buy or where you go, you're still you and you're still stuck and you're still so goddamn alone it physically hurts. Yeah, that feeling. I worked from home. Tech support. 8 hours a day of listening to people scream at me about their passwords, their printers, their pathetic little problems that somehow became my responsibility. I sat in that apartment, staring at that screen, saying, I understand your frustration, over and over until the words lost all meaning. Until I lost all meaning. My friends, the ones who used to be my friends, had stopped calling, stopped texting. I'd become too much, I think. Too sad. Too heavy. People don't want to carry your darkness when they're trying to maintain their own light. I understood. I didn't blame them. But understanding doesn't make you less alone. It just makes you alone and aware. Evenings were the worst. After I logged off, after I closed that laptop, there was nothing. Just me and my phone, and an endless scroll through other people's lives. Other people's vacations. Other people's engagements. Other people's happiness that felt like a personal insult. I'd scroll until my eyes burned, until my thumb ached, until I couldn't tell if I was trying to connect with the world or just proving to myself that I didn't belong in it. I was disappearing. Slowly. Quietly. And nobody noticed. Nobody cared. Why would they? So yeah, a new car didn't fix that. Shocking, I know. But here's where it gets strange. Here's where my boring, gray, dying life cracked open just enough to let something else in. It was 3 days after I bought the car. 3 days of the same routine, the same numbness, the same nothing. I was sitting in the driver's seat, trying to connect my phone to the Bluetooth because even my music felt dead lately, and I thought maybe new speakers would help. They wouldn't, but I tried anyway. That's when I saw it. The GPS. The built-in navigation system. It was old, outdated, probably hadn't been updated in years. And there, in the saved destinations, was a single address. Just one. Labeled home. I stared at it. This address that wasn't my address. This place I'd never been. This destination someone else had programmed into a car that was now mine because their life had moved on, or ended, or changed in ways I couldn't imagine. My first instinct was to delete it. Clean slate. Fresh start. All that bullshit we tell ourselves when we're trying to pretend we have control over anything. But I didn't. My finger hovered over the delete button, and something stopped me. Something I can't name. Something that felt less like a thought, and more like a whisper. A pull. A knowing. What if I just went there? It was crazy. I knew it was crazy. But here's the thing about being as empty as I was. Crazy doesn't scare you anymore. Crazy becomes interesting. Crazy becomes the only thing that makes you feel anything at all. So I started the car. I pressed that address. I watched the route appear on that tiny screen. 43 miles, 1 hour and 12 minutes. And I drove. I drove out of my neighborhood with its identical buildings and identical lives. I drove past the shopping centers where I bought food I didn't taste and clothes I didn't care about. I drove onto the highway and then off it onto smaller roads. Roads that curved. Roads that climbed. The suburbs gave way to countryside. Houses spread apart. Trees multiplied. The sky opened up in a way it never did in the city, like it had been holding its breath and finally let go. I should have been scared. A strange address. An unknown destination. Every true crime podcast I'd ever listened to was screaming at me to turn around. But I wasn't scared. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt something else. Curiosity. God, I'd forgotten what that felt like. That little spark. That tiny flame of wondering, of wanting to know, of being pulled towards something instead of just dragged through another day. The roads got narrower. The GPS kept directing me. Turn left, continue straight, turn right. Each instruction felt less like technology and more like something else. Like I was being led. Like something wanted me to find this place. Fog started rolling in. Not thick, but present. Wisps of it between the trees, making everything look softer, dreamlike, unreal. The sunlight broke through in places, golden and strange, and I remember thinking that this was the most beautiful thing I'd seen in so long. So painfully long. It felt less like I was following a map, and more like the map was following me. Like it knew something I didn't. Like it was taking me somewhere I was supposed to be, even though I had no idea why. The route took me higher. Mountain roads. Switchbacks. The kind of elevation where your ears pop, and the air tastes different. Cleaner. Sharper. Alive. And then the GPS said, "You have arrived at your destination." I pulled over into a small gravel lot. There was nothing there. No house. No building. Just an overlook. A clearing with a wooden barrier and beyond it, a view that stopped my breath. Mountains. Layered and blue and endless. The valley below was filled with that golden fog, like the earth itself was exhaling. The sky was that particular shade of late afternoon, when the light gets thick and everything looks painted. And there, sitting on a bench near the edge, was an old man. He was alone. Small. Weathered. His hands were folded in his lap, and he was staring out at that view like he'd been there forever. Like he was part of the landscape. I got out of my car. My legs felt strange. Shaky. The air was cold, and I hadn't brought a jacket because I hadn't planned this. I hadn't planned any of this. The old man turned his head, looked at my car, then at me, and he said, so quietly I almost didn't hear it, "You found it. You actually came." My heart stopped. Actually stopped. Because what did he, who was? I'm sorry. I stammered. I don't understand. The GPS, there was an address. He nodded slowly, like he'd been expecting this, like he'd been waiting. "That was my daughter's car," he said. His voice was rough, broken, like it had been scraped raw by grief. "She sold it 8 months ago. Before she..." He stopped, swallowed. looked back at the view. Before she died. The words hit me like a physical blow. I actually took a step back. "Oh my God," I whispered. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't mean to." "No," he interrupted, shaking his head. "No, you don't understand.
She wanted this.
She hoped for this." I stood there, frozen, confused, feeling like I'd stumbled into someone else's story, someone else's grief. And I had no right to be there. No right at all. "Please," he said, patting the bench beside him.
"Sit.
"Let me tell you about my Evelyn." I should have left. I should have apologized and driven away and deleted that address and pretended this never happened. But I didn't. Because something in his voice, something in the way he said her name, made me stay. I sat. The old man was quiet for a long moment, just breathing, just existing in that space between memory and present. Then he started talking. "Evelyn was my only child," he said. "Born late in my life. A surprise. A gift. She was bright, you know? Not just smart bright. Like she carried her own light. She became a travel nurse. Went everywhere.
Saw everything."
She said she wanted to collect sunsets the way other people collect stamps. His voice cracked on that last word, but he pushed through. She loved this place. This overlook. She'd drive up here after long shifts. She'd take pictures. She'd just sit here and breathe and watch the light change. She said it was the only place she felt like herself. The only place that felt like home. She programmed it into her GPS, he continued. Gave it that label.
Home.
Because wherever she parked, wherever she slept, this was where her soul lived. I felt tears on my face before I even realized I was crying. 8 months ago, she got sick. Sudden. Vicious. One of those illnesses that doesn't care how young you are or how much life you have left to live. She was gone in 3 weeks. His hands were shaking. I wanted to reach out, to touch him, to offer some comfort, but I didn't know how. I was a stranger. I had no right. "Before she died," he said, his voice barely above a whisper now, "she told me something. She said, 'Dad, don't delete that GPS address. Don't let whoever buys my car delete it either. Maybe someone lost will find their way here too. Maybe someone who needs to remember that the world still has beautiful places. That life still has moments worth stopping for.'" I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I could only feel this enormous, crushing weight of something I couldn't name. Destiny? Fate? Grace? "She left something else too," he said, reaching into his jacket. "An envelope. She told me to give it to whoever followed that GPS. If anyone ever did." He pulled out a sealed envelope, yellowed slightly at the edges.
My name wasn't on it.
Just one word. Wanderer. "Take it," he said, pressing it into my hands. "It's yours. She wrote it for you. For whoever you are. Whoever you'd turn out to be." My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely hold it. "I can't," I said. "This isn't. I'm not." "You came," he said simply. "That's enough. That's everything." I opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a letter, handwritten. The script was looping and gentle and alive. I read it out loud, without meaning to. The words just came. "Dear Wanderer, if you're reading this, it means you followed a stranger's GPS to a stranger's sacred place. It means you trusted a whisper you couldn't explain. It means you're more lost than you realize, and more found than you know. I don't know who you are. I don't know what brought you to the point where you'd follow a mysterious address into the mountains. But I know this. You're looking for something. We all are. We're all wandering through our lives half asleep, half alive, waiting for something to wake us up. Maybe this is that something. I'm dying as I write this. The doctors say I have weeks, maybe days. And I'm not afraid exactly. I'm sad. I'm sad I won't see more sunsets. I won't take more photos. I won't drive more roads or meet more strangers or collect more moments that make life feel worth living. But here's what I learned. You don't need years. You don't need some grand adventure. You just need to be awake. You just need to stop scrolling through your life and start living it. Curiosity is how the soul finds its way home. Not answers. Not certainty. Not plans. Just curiosity. Just wondering what if. Just following the small whispers that say go there, try this, talk to them, take that road. The world is full of coordinates we'll never see. Lives we'll never live. Moments we'll miss because we're too scared or too tired or too convinced we don't deserve beauty. But you do. You deserve every sunset, every quiet moment, every unexpected connection. So here's what I'm asking you. Don't just read this and forget it. Don't go back to your safe, small, dying life.
Take the risk.
Follow the curiosity. Trust the whispers.
Live. Please.
For both of us. With hope, Evelyn. I finished reading and I couldn't stop sobbing. Deep, ugly, choking sobs that came from somewhere so buried I'd forgotten it existed. The old man put his hand on my shoulder. Gentle, fatherly. She was right about you, he said softly. Whoever you are, you needed this. I don't even know why I came. I gasped between sobs. I was so empty, so lost. I don't even know who I am anymore. Maybe that's exactly why you came, he said. Maybe that's the whole point. We sat there for a long time, watching the light change, watching the sun sink lower, watching the world do what it does, keep turning, keep glowing, keep offering beauty to anyone willing to look. I went back to my apartment that night, but I wasn't the same person who left it. Something had cracked open inside me. Something had woken up. I couldn't go back to sleep. I couldn't pretend anymore. I couldn't spend one more day in that chair, in that job, in that life that was killing me slowly. So, I didn't. I quit my job 2 weeks later. Just sent the email and closed my laptop and felt terrified and free and alive. I bought a camera. A cheap one, nothing fancy. And I started taking pictures. Sunsets, mostly. Like Evelyn. Trying to collect light the way she did. I visited the old man every week. We'd sit on that bench and talk about life and loss and all the small miracles we miss when we're too busy being miserable. He became something like family. I became something like the daughter he lost. We healed each other. Slowly. Imperfectly. But really, I started living differently. Noticing differently. I'd take random exits off the highway just to see where they led. I'd talk to strangers in coffee shops. I'd say yes to invitations I would have declined before. I followed curiosity, like it was a religion, like it was the only thing that mattered. Because Evelyn was right. Curiosity is how the soul finds its way home. Not logic, not planning, not safety. Just that small, quiet voice that says, go there.
Try this.
See what happens. A year later, I was back at that overlook. Same bench.
Same view.
But I wasn't alone anymore. I'd brought someone with me, someone I'd met at a photography workshop, someone who saw my pictures and said they made him feel something he'd forgotten how to feel. We sat there as the sun set, and he held my hand, and I thought about how impossible this was. How unlikely. How absurd. A dead woman's GPS coordinates had led me here.
To this place.
To this man. To this life. I followed a stranger's address into the mountains and somehow, impossibly, it brought me back to life. And here's what haunts me, what keeps me awake at night in the best way. What if I hadn't followed it? What if I'd deleted that address? What if I'd stayed safe, stayed small, stayed in that apartment slowly dying one day at a time? I would have missed this. All of this. The beauty, the connection, the color, the life. I would have missed myself. Because that's what I found at the end of that GPS route. Not just an old man. Not just a view. Not just a letter. I found the part of me I'd buried. The part that still believed in something. The part that still wanted to live. So here's what I need to ask you. And I need you to really hear me. Really listen. Have you ever felt led somewhere by something you couldn't explain? Have you ever had that whisper? That pull? That tiny voice saying go there, even though it makes no sense? Did you follow it? Or did you delete it? Did you ignore it? Did you choose safe over sacred? Because I'm telling you, and I'm telling you this with every broken, healed, shattered, rebuilt piece of my soul, sometimes curiosity is heaven's compass. Sometimes getting lost is the only way to be found. Sometimes the most illogical thing you can do is the most necessary. I followed a dead woman's coordinates, and she saved my life. What whisper are you ignoring right now? What address are you afraid to follow? What small, sacred, inexplicable thing is calling you towards something bigger, something truer, something more alive? Don't delete it. Please. For the love of God or fate or whatever brought me to that mountain, don't delete it. Follow it. See where it leads. Because maybe, just maybe, it's trying to take you home. Not to a place. Not to a person. To yourself. The real you. The alive you. The you that still believes this broken, beautiful, mysterious world has something to offer. That's what Evelyn taught me. That's what her father taught me. That's what that overlook and that sunset and that impossible moment taught me.
Curiosity isn't just interest.
It's faith. It's hope. It's the willingness to believe that something good might be waiting on the other side of the unknown. And I'm living proof that sometimes it is. So share your story. Tell me about the time you followed the whisper. Or the time you didn't and you wish you had. Tell me about the moment when life cracked open and let something else in. Tell me I'm not crazy for believing that GPS coordinates can be prayers. That strangers can be angels. That getting lost can be the thing that saves you. Because I need to know I'm not alone in this. I need to know that other people have felt it too, that tug toward the unexplainable, that hunger for something more real than the life we've settled for. I need to know that curiosity is still alive in this world, that wonder hasn't died, that there are still people brave enough to follow the mystery even when it makes no sense. So tell me your story. I'm listening. I'm here. I'm the woman who followed a dead stranger's GPS and found herself on the other side. And if you believe, if you really, truly believe, that curiosity is sometimes heaven's compass, then stay with me.
Subscribe.
Come back. Because I have more stories, more mysteries, more moments when the ordinary world cracked open and showed me something sacred. And maybe, just maybe, one of those stories will be the whisper you need. The push. The permission. The GPS coordinate that leads you home. To yourself.
To life.
To everything you've been too scared or too tired or too lost to reach for. I'm not promising answers. I'm not promising certainty. I'm just promising this. The world is stranger and more beautiful and more sacred than you think. And sometimes, when you're brave enough to follow what doesn't make sense, you find exactly what you didn't know you were looking for. That's what happened to me. And I'm still here. Still alive. Still following the whispers. Still collecting sunsets like Evelyn taught me. Still believing that somewhere out there, someone is programming an address into their GPS without knowing that years from now, it might save someone's life. Maybe even yours. So go ahead. Follow it. See where it leads. I'll be here when you get back. Waiting to hear your story. waiting to know that the mystery found you too, waiting to believe, together, that we're all just wanderers trying to find our way home. And that sometimes, impossibly, beautifully, mysteriously, we do.